So to organize the entire ABEKA curriculum using the binder system that I like, we're gonna be needing our video manual, at least a 1.5-inch binder. It could be the flex binder. If you want to use a regular binder like this one, you are more than welcome to. The flex binder usually comes with the dividers, but if you're using a regular binder, you can simply buy the dividers at the store. I'm recycling mine from last year. A notebook or a piece of paper just to take some notes down on how we're organizing this, and the consumables that we are going to be adding into our binder. So I have the arithmetic workbook, the arithmetic quizzes, tests, and speed drills, the reading and comprehension skill sheet, the language workbook, the student test and quizzes, spelling, vocabulary, and poetry tests, history and geography quizzes, the history and geography tests, the science quizzes and worksheets, and the science tests. And then I have the enjoying good health quizzes, tests, and worksheets, just because I don't know if this is divided into 2 sections or just one. So I just added that in here to have prepared. So I'm gonna walk you all step by step on how it is that I put this curriculum together using the binder system and show you guys what my thinking process is, so that if you like this particular system, you're able to use it for any grade level that you have, and even for any homeschool curriculum that you have divided by subjects. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to one of the layouts for the day. I like to look at these because it shows the layout of the DVD as well. And it seems like it has the same layout as it had last year. So this lets me know the tabs that I'm going to be creating. I'm gonna write down the subjects that I'm going to be creating the tabs for. I'm going to be making one for arithmetic, and I'm skipping a couple of lines because I'm gonna be taking some notes within that. I'm not going to do a section for Bible because there is really no consumable for Bible, so there's no reason for us to be using it in there. If you're using that optional journal, you can keep it as a journal. So this is strictly for us to put the worksheets and the tests and quizzes that the kids rip out or need to work on. We're not going to be doing a section for penmanship because the penmanship itself is a little workbook, and then the kids do the practices on notebook paper. We use a spiral notebook, and that is its own thing. Therefore, there's no reason for me to create a section for it. Yes, there is health, but typically the health takes the place of the science. Some of these classes will have 2 categories, and some of them will just be 1 category. So for arithmetic, I like to make one section be the drills, tests, and quizzes, while the other one, I want it to be the workbook. So I'm just gonna write WB for the workbook. For reading, there's just the workbook itself, so I'm not gonna do 2 categories for that. For language, there is 2. There is the workbook, and then there are the tests and quizzes. So for the workbook, I'm going to put the workbook first, and then for the second part, I'll do the quizzes and the tests, Q and T. In arithmetic, I put the drills, the quizzes, and the text first, simply because drills are usually done early on the lesson. For spelling, it's just 1 consumable, 1 section, it doesn't need any. History, however, it's going to need, I believe, 2 sections. They have, I forgot to mention, we're gonna need sticky notes too for whenever we go tag our workbooks. So I'm gonna just create one for quizzes and one for tests. And then for the science, it has 2 categories as well. It had the quizzes and the workbooks, and then it had the tests on the other side. Now that we have the different tabs that we're going to want for the dividers, I'm going to go back here to where the progress report sheet is. In the progress report, you're going to see down here that it tells you the subjects and the lessons that are recorded on that particular progress report. And then on the sides here under each category, it tells you the lessons as well as the quiz numbers or the test numbers that are going to be associated with that particular class. And it's structured the same way over here. Okay? When I'm jotting things down here, one thing that I know is that in the arithmetic classes, the way that the workbooks are set, I'm gonna show you guys right here, is that the lessons are printed at the bottom right-hand corner. You see that? And also the same thing is on the quizzes and tests. They have the lessons in the bottom and they do tell you the quiz number or the test number. It makes it easier for me to simply put down what is the last lesson that they're going to be doing for arithmetic. So when I come here where it says subjects, I can just look over here and it tells me that the very last lesson that is going to be covered in the first quarter is going to be lesson 44. I am simply going to put the number 44 first. I don't have to put 1 through 44 because what's going to happen is that after lesson 44 is where I'm going to put the sticky note at. And I'm also going to draw a little line noting here that is the same lesson for the workbook. In the front, you're going to see like my second subject is reading. However, here on the progress report, it shows language. I'm going to look at the language part. The workbook in the language book is also labeled by the lessons. So when you come over here, you're going to see that in the workbook, the lessons are in the bottom that are going to be covered. So for the workbook, I see down here that language is going to end on lesson 46. I'm going to put 46 up here on the workbook. But then when I look here, if we look at the language workbook for the quizzes and tests, you're going to see that that is not down here. It doesn't tell us what lesson number is going to be covered. Instead, it tells us the test number and the quiz number. So based on that, I see that the last test he's going to be taking is exam 4. I'm simply going to put number 4 down here because when I look at this and I'm organizing it and I'm tagging things, I'm simply going to go up to, here's test 4. Okay, 4 is the last one. I'll put the sticky note here, and this is where the next quarter is going to begin. Spelling, it tells you the lesson number and the test number. When you look at the spelling test, the way that the spelling tests are categorized in the book, you're going to notice that it tells you the test number. It doesn't tell us what the lesson number is in the bottom. So for this particular case, I see that the last test number is 8. I hope that that makes sense. That's the thought process I go through. For the first quarter, the reading scores are going to come from this particular book. And then for the rest of the quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 is going to be the speed drills, and it's this book that they actually read the cold reads and do the speed drills with. So in this particular case, it says here that it goes until RCS skill sheet 13. If you look here, the skill sheet numbers are these over here. So I'm simply going to put 13 over here. Now I'm going to finish labeling out the rest. Now that I'm done doing this, it's time to, with the sticky note, mark our books. For reading, you're going to notice that I only went up to lesson 13 because for the first quarter, we're grading up to the skill sheets for lesson 13, but then they go into the reader. I'll be putting all this in there, and then the rest I will add in there second quarter to keep in there for the remainder of the year. I will only have to do that this time and next time. So this next part is very simple. I'm going to be taking my sticky notes and going through the consumables and marking where the next quarter begins. So for example, for arithmetic, I see that the lesson went until lesson 44. So I'm gonna go all the way to lesson 44. I'm gonna look at the bottom up to lesson 44. Okay, lesson 44 ends here, lesson 45 begins here. So I'm simply going to put a sticky note right here. You could label it quarter 2, quarter 3, all that fun jazz if you really wanted to, or in my case, I'm simply putting the sticky note so I know where to rip up to. Now that we are done tagging all of our workbooks, our next step is going to be to go into the binder. I have this awesome hole puncher. It is amazing. Let me tell you, it goes through so many pages. I'll link it down below if anybody is interested or needs one. I bought it on Amazon. Very, very good, heavy duty hole puncher. Now, this next step that I'm going to do here is I'm going to be ripping out the very first page because that's what I'm going to use for the divider. And then I'm going to rip out in every single workbook up to the first marker that I already marked. Now that all of our hole punching is done, it's time to fill up our binder. I'm going to start from the back to the front, investigating God's world. I'll put the work in here. And then the cover of the book is going to go over here. I just realized I forgot this geography maps and activities. What I'm going to do is, since this particular one goes by chapters, what I did last time is I took half of the sheets and I put it in and the other half as well. So for this particular case, for the quizzes section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place half of these in the front part, put a little sticky note here that the quizzes are back here, and then halfway through, I'll refill them with the rest of them. The whole work for the very first quarter is all right here in this binder. So to flip through it and let you guys know what it looks like, arithmetic is right here in the front. Here's the workbook. The reading comprehension skill sheets. I left the ABC things in there that had like the information and the graphic organizers and stuff, as well as the passages, because I'm not quite sure if in class they're gonna go over this. It seems like they are, so I wanted to make sure he had that in there. And for here, this is one of these binders that has something that you can put in, so I'll just let my son personalize that as he pushes. Okay, so now that the binder is done, what do I do with the rest of the curriculum? How do I store the rest of the curriculum? This is how I break it up, okay? I have a pile with all the answer keys to all the workbooks. So you're gonna see answer keys to tests and quizzes here, and then the answer keys to the workbook down here. In another pile, I have all of the student consumables, just this enjoying good health, because that's not gonna be until the end of the year, and these readers and novels right here. All of these are going to be in another pile. These are the things that we are going to come to quarterly, and whenever we are done with a reader, we need a reader, we will come to this. In this pile, I have all the things that my son is going to be needing on a daily basis. So I have the binder that I put together, a notebook for his penmanship and whenever he needs, random paper to write, his old world history and geography textbook, his science textbook, his first reader, which is Windows to the World, his penmanship book, which is what he writes in, and this is where the tests for the penmanship are located as well. And last but not least, his spelling and vocabulary booklet. I'm going to be using these book bins. I got these from Amazon. I just love how I can store the books for each category in here for us to use throughout the year, and it keeps us all very well organized. So in one of these book bins, I am going to be placing all of the things that my son will be using every single day. This will be stored on the top of our cubby over here, and whenever they're going to be homeschooling at my in-laws' house, all my husband and my son has to worry about is grabbing everything from this bin, placing it in the backpack, and go on. There's not, I have to grab this from here and there, and oh my goodness, where is this at? We all know it goes compacted into this one book bin. As for the remainder of the books, I use the same system, except that I designate a particular cubby for it. So in this particular one, I am going to be putting the readers, as well as all of the consumables that we are going to be using throughout the year. So I'm gonna put the science textbook in there as well. I'll put the readers in last. So all these consumables I'll be coming to at the end of each quarter to rip the stuff that I need for the notebook. And then I'll put these guys in here, the readers over here, and then these readers over here. There we go, okay? Finally, all of the answer keys for the entire curriculum I'm gonna put here. okay? These two things our son never has to worry about looking into. This is for my husband and I to handle. So right now, this is what our cubby is looking like. This part I haven't finished yet, but this is the part where the kids' curriculum stuff is. So this is the top of the cubby. We keep the DVDs here as well as our kids' work bins. So this is my son's bin, this is my daughter's bin, and this right here I'll share with you guys later on what is it that I'm using it for. This right here is going to be more of a resource for my husband and I. Moving down here is our daughter's K-5 curriculum. We have our DVDs here. All of her consumables are right here, and then the parent resources are on this side. Same thing down here, my son's DVDs, the consumables, and all of the parent resources, including the video manual, which I completely forgot to mention to you guys that I was putting in here. I knew I was missing something there. This is how we organize and categorize our things. I just absolutely love this method because it just streamlines everything for everybody that is involved, especially if you're a family like us, where both my husband and I are highly involved with the curriculum. We need a system. We need a system that we can all follow and things don't go all over the place and us not know where everything is at. So I highly recommend the system. It is awesome. It has worked wonderfully for us this past year, and us having it set up like this from last year, it just made it so much easier for us to swap the old curriculum and put the new curriculum in. It was just so much easier for setup this particular year. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this system? If this is something that was helpful for you. If you use a different system and you'd like to share it with me as well, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.